Have you ever wondered why men want variety, but women want the best? Let's break this down. Hypergamy isn't what you think. It's actually monogamy in disguise. And men, we're wired for polygamy. By the end of this live stream, you'll never see dating, relationships, and attraction the same way again. We're going live. We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's going on, guys? It's Monday again. How was your weekend? If it was good, drop a thumbs up in the chat. If it was awful, drop a thumbs down in the chat. Sound off in there, okay? I want to hear from you guys. Today's episode was inspired by the frequent comments I get on this short that I posted a couple of years ago. It was actually a stitch I did on TikTok, and it ended up blowing up on YouTube, which is funny. It didn't really blow up on TikTok at all, but it blew up on YouTube Shorts. So let me grab that one. Where's that at here? Paul, why aren't you ready for this? Things. Anyway, so it now has almost 3 million views. Let me play that for you. You guys that are watching on TikTok right now, you can't see it, so head on over to YouTube. But I'll play it for you guys here on YouTube and Facebook and X right now.
Years ago, I thought that I had it all, and there was something missing from my life. So I ended things with the guy who treated me like a princess and would have been the best husband to me. And I started chasing this feeling that was never matched.
That unexplained feeling that she could do better, that's called hypergamy. Red pill guys have been talking about it for years. It's the woman's biological need to always look for the best possible mate she can find. A lot of women are always looking to trade up. It's biology, it's psychology, it's in their DNA, it's science. It's also one of the reasons why a lot of modern women will never be truly happy.
True. You could never truly make them happy. Anyway, I have a clip, right? Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I take these long form live streams and I cut them into like 10, 15-minute clips, and I post them on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And one of the episodes I did last week, I was talking about how women are never truly happy and how you can't go around trying to make her happy, right? Like why happy wife, happy life is a lie. A happy wife, happy life is a lie. And that video is doing pretty good. It's pretty good. A lot of guys are like, huh, really? I'm trying to make my wife happy all the time. I wonder why she's never happy. Yeah. That's nice guy behavior. And we're not nice guys on this show. Anyway, so going back to that video, it now has almost 3 million views. And the number one comment I get is how men are hypergamous too, right? Men do it too. Men are always trading up and cheating and trying to look for their best option too. But they'll say that. They'll say men are hypergamous too. But that's not true. Men are not hypergamous. Hypergamy is women's sexual strategy. All right. Men's sexual strategy is polygamy. All right. We are not hypergamous. We are not necessarily looking to cheat or trade up to find our best possible option. Okay. We're going to get into it today. But before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is that when we level up to get better with women, it tends to make us better in all areas of our lives. That being said, many men mistakenly believe that women only cheat for the thrill or out of boredom. Some of it is boredom. But in reality, women's hypergamous nature drives them to cheat when their current monogamous relationship no longer meets their needs. Right? If a better hypergamous option presents itself, she will mate switch. abandoning her current mate to become monogamous with a higher status man, right? Sometimes. That's not always the case, but that's oftentimes when you see the mate switching happen, it's because that guy is providing something the other guy's not, right? Abandoning her current mate to become monogamous with a higher status man. Unlike men who are polygamous and seek variety, women's strategy is about securing the best, not multiple mates. So to win in the dating and relationship game, men must recognize this fundamental difference and position themselves as the best possible option. That is, if you want to be monogamous, okay? We can get into that too. Because in a woman's mind, second place isn't even on the scoreboard, right? It's not even on the scoreboard. And before we get into all this stuff, it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun today, guys, all right? But do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, right? Smash that like button like you smashed that single mom last night. Hit those notifications because sometimes I go live and you guys don't know about it, and because you didn't hit that notification, but the notification lets you know when I'm going live. And then there's a whole bunch of people watching right now. Please sound off in the live chat. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check it later. I'm not really looking at the comments right now, but for whatever last week, StreamYard wouldn't let me see any of the comments unless you sent a super chat. So hopefully that's fixed. I didn't turn that on. It's just something weird that came up. But do consider sending super chats. That does help support the show probably more than anything else. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So let's talk about hypergamy versus polygamy for a minute. Okay. Hypergamy, man, a lot of guys these days, especially guys that have never read the books, right? If you've never read The Rational Male, you consider yourself red pill, but that's only because you just watch short form TikTok videos. Too long didn't read. You don't even watch the long form podcast, or the podcast you do watch. It's all about, holding women accountable, right? It's like, Fresh and Fit. They're handing women White Claws. They talk down to them and then they kick them off the show when they act uppity. And you're like, yeah, that's red pill, bro. It's like, that's not red pill. That's Jerry Springer. Okay. That's entertainment. It's entertainment. It's not exactly what red pill's all about. All right. But Rollo has done, and I'd like to make sure I credit the people that were the pioneers of this kind of stuff, right? The guys that sort of coined some of these terms. I mean, hypergamy isn't something that Rollo invented, right? It's something that comes from evolutionary psychology. I think Dr. David Buss might be the first person that actually talked about it. But Rollo's the one that sort of really did the most work on it, I think, in the red pill space, right? And if you haven't read The Rational Male yet, and then you consider yourself red pill, like, shut the fuck up. just shut the fuck up for a minute, okay? But so hypergamy is not necessarily about cheating. Okay, hypergamy can lead to cheating, right? But a lot of guys hear this word hypergamy and they think it's something new. They're like, oh, these modern hypergamous women. I hear that a lot. These modern hypergamous women. Well, hypergamy has been around for thousands of years, right? This is women's natural sexual strategy that they've developed over time. And it's the whole goal is to consolidate on a guy that can be their best possible option to protect them and provide for their children, right? Like that, there's a reason for it. It's not a bad thing. It's a survival thing, right? It can be a bad thing, right? If it leads to cheating, which it sometimes does, right? It sometimes does lead to cheating, or it leads to her dumping you outright cleanly and then finding someone else very quickly, right? I have a 3% brother right now who just went through a breakup a couple months ago. And he's still not over it. He is, he and I've been chatting lately back and forth. He's still like in this depressed state months later. And one of the biggest contentions of that is that she found another guy within just like a week or two, right? Goddamn good and well that guy was in the floating around in the wings, just waiting for an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, women tend to line up these orbiters as backup plans. And she had her backup plan lined up, immediately got with this guy. And now she's engaged to get married to this guy. And this guy's like, what are you talking? Like, we dated for years. And she, it's like, yeah, man, like, all this stuff. You studied all this stuff. You know how them women are, about war brides. That's for a different episode. But anyway, hypergamy, get back to on topic. Hypergamy is not necessarily about cheating. It's about securing the best possible man, right? Women don't typically desire multiple men. Yeah, sure, there's women that are in polygamous open relationships right now. There's women that experiment with that stuff, but that's not the norm, right? Like, when we talk about a lot of this type of stuff, we're not talking about all women necessarily. We're talking about a vast majority of women, mostly, right? But they all have this hard wiring in them. They might challenge it a little bit. They might, do some of this other stuff, but at the end of the day, they pretty much almost all have this firmware in them, right? There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, they're almost all like this. But they're it's not necessarily about cheating. It's about finding their best possible man, right? They don't desire multiple men. They desire the highest status man that they can get, right? The highest status man they can get. Now, men, on the other hand, want variety, and we will sleep with multiple women if given the chance. I've heard the expression, men are only as monogamous as our options. I've heard that, that's not necessarily true. Same with hypergamy, right? Like, although we have these hardwired, tendencies in us, that doesn't mean that we can't, have exercise some willpower towards it, right? Like, if you're a really religious guy and you believe in cheating is a sin, like, you'll hold these urges in check, right? But you'll find, for men, especially Christian men, that the way that they hold it in check is they move over to dirty videos. We can't use the P word on TikTok, right? I don't want to get kicked off of TikTok here. I've got TikTok running here, but some people say corn, right? It rhymes with corn. Let's say dirty videos. So that's a way that men sort of, exercise their natural tendencies to want variety, is they start looking at corn and stuff like that instead, right? That's how men exercise that without actually cheating. That's why a lot of people think, in the red pill space, think that corn has probably saved more marriages than it's killed marriages, but I don't know, that's debatable. So anyway, men want variety. We want to sleep with multiple women if given the chance. And the evolutionary reason is women bear children, right? And they have to be selective. Like, they have more of a reproductive cost than men do, right? Women have to be selective, because if they get pregnant, like, they are 100% on the hook for this child. For the next 9 months, they're basically shut down for business. And now they have to have a baby, and now they have to raise this baby into adulthood. And back in the caveman days, Brog, I'm using a term from Clary's latest book, Brog, the caveman, he didn't have the state saying, oh, you have to take care of these kids, right? So Brog could hit it and quit it, and he wouldn't be on the hook for these children. And this woman would be left, like, have to care for these children alone and trying to survive, right? So it behooved her to be more selective about who she picked as a mate. Whereas guys, like, we are naturally bred to survive and solve problems and hunt and defend ourselves and be strong and stuff like that. So it's like, we don't need a woman, but so we want to spread our seed far and wide and impregnate as many women as we can to have our genetic lineage pushed out, and survive longer and stuff like that. So we want to spread our seed and seek multiple options. Women have to be selective because they are stuck once they get pregnant, right? And so this is interesting. This guy named Whisper who wrote a lot in the old Married Red Pill and on like the old TRP Reddit. He used to write a lot of good stuff. And he has this post that you guys could look up in the Red Pill archive called Hypergamy is Monogamy. And he describes it so well. You know, he basically describes it as a party, right? Think of it as a party. Men walk into a party and we see a bunch of gorgeous women. We're not like, I'm looking for the best woman here. We want to sleep with any of them or preferably all of them. Like we want a little taste of all the honeys in there, and we will accept whatever hot chick that we could get, the hottest chick we could get. We don't care, right? Guys don't care. We want all the women there, any and all of them. A woman will walk into a party and scope the scenery, and she's looking for which guy here has the most status, right? Which guy here is the most popular guy, and that's who she really wants. And she would rather go home alone than go home with the second best guy at the party, right? That's how women operate, right? So that's how you can think of it as hypergamy versus polygamy. Like men and women are wired differently, right? So because she wants that one guy, the one highest status guy she can get, that's monogamy, right? That women are naturally more monogamous, right? I hope I'm breaking this down so that it's explains to me like I'm 5. I hope I've explained it to you guys like in a very easy to understand way. Guys, before we get too far into this, do follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. If you guys are on TikTok, follow me on other places outside of TikTok, please. The link's in my bio for that. Guys, get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. I have a free ebook that explains how attraction tends to erode over time, right? We call it the betatization process. It's a 5-step process. And it's a lot of the times it's subconscious. Women don't even realize they're doing it. And if you don't know how to defend against it, you're going to find yourself in a place in your relationship where she no longer respects you. She's bickering and nagging you all the time. Like if this sounds like your relationship right now, I guarantee you're like on phase, 3 or 4 of she's made you weak, right? So check out that ebook, find out what's going on in your relationship, why it's eroding, and understand how possible ways to turn that around. Okay. So go to list.comeonmanpod.com for that. I'll also mail you some free stickers, but if you don't want the stickers, just put don't want stickers in the address field. I'm not really looking to collect a whole bunch of home addresses and stuff like that. It's just a nice thing. But if you don't want it, I don't want to waste a stamp on you either. And then guys, I have 3 books out. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, or if you're on TikTok, the link in my bio, you can find all 3 of my books. Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18 is a handbook for life, but it really goes into hypergamy a lot, attraction, the psychology of attraction, especially in the dating chapters. And then there's a whole chapter on how to maintain a long-term relationship and my philosophy on marriage in the modern day. All that stuff's in there. Also, it'll help you with your finances if your finances suck. Man, there's some guys I talk to, man, and they just like their credit score is like below a 500. And I'm like, as an adult, I'm like, I don't understand how that's even possible because I have a perfect credit score. And if that's not you and the credit's a big problem for you and money's a big problem for you, you need to get your money in order. So get the first book. But I also wrote a book on how to get your wife to want to fuck you again, especially if you're in a dead bedroom situation, which is what I really help guys out with these days. So if you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, you can get my latest book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. It's available in all formats, including Audible. Let me play a commercial for that real quick.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom?
Yeah, I'm looking at this and it's so weird. All I see is Nurse Chick in here. And she says, good morning, gentlemen. I hope everyone had a fantastic Monday. And then I don't see anything after that. It's so weird. And I know you guys are usually in the chat. Like it's, I don't know. But anyway, here's Nurse Chick.
So naughty.
She is.
I'm going to come.
Oh, I will. Her birthday's coming up on Friday, guys. Everybody wish Nurse Chick happy birthday. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, in the last week, I saw like her first comment, and then after that, I can see super chats. I don't get it. Anyway, Anyway, so guys, let's break the myth here, okay? Men don't cheat. Okay, men don't cheat. All right, that's a myth. All right, we're just polygamists. We're just polygamists. That's not cheating, is it? Oh man. Think about that for a minute. Like, right? Men are demonized for wanting variety, but it's our biological default, guys. Society shames men, but evolution wired us this way. Is it really a bad thing? Could you imagine if society took that stance, right? Whereas women, like, we have open hypergamy now, right? We have open hypergamy in our society. And a lot of that comes with women's rights, which isn't a bad thing. Like, you know, I would consider myself a classic feminist, which is to say that a woman, if she wants to do something and she has the qualifications to do it, she should be able to do anything she wants to do, right? She should be able to vote. She should be able to, you know, be a boss bitch and you know, run a Fortune 500 company, whatever, if that's what she wants to do. All right. I just don't think, I think it's terrible when we lower standards to accommodate women to bring them into a field that they couldn't naturally do otherwise. Right. And I love to use this example of years ago now, the New York Fire Department, in an effort to be able to allow women to join the fire department, they lowered the physical standards for women, right? So you used to have to be able to carry a 250-pound dummy on your shoulder down a ladder, right? That was a physical requirement because as a firefighter, sometimes you go into fight a fire and there's people that are passed out from smoke inhalation and you have to rescue them, right? And you have to be strong enough to pick up some of these people in like a fireman's carry and carry them down a ladder, right? You have to physically be able to do that. Well, in order to accommodate women who couldn't physically lift a 250-pound man, they're like, okay, well, what we'll do for women is allow them to drag these guys down the stairs by their ankles, right? As long as she can drag a 250-pound dummy down the stairs. Like, what would you rather have if you are a guy who's passed out from smoke inhalation? Would you rather have a burly firefighter, like, you know, even if it's a butch woman, right, deadlift you and carry you down a ladder? Or would you rather have your head bang down every step on the way down the stairs just to accommodate women's rights? You know, like, what would you rather have? So think about that for a minute. Anyway, those standards are there to save lives, right? That's my opinion. And I don't, and you know, if a woman can lift a 250-pound man, she should be able to do that. That's the way I look at it. Like, don't lower the standards to accommodate women. Okay. That being said, so we have women's rights, and we also now have the ultimate tool that women have to exercise their open hypergamy, and that's abortion. Right? We have abortion rights, and yeah, you know, the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. Okay, but that doesn't mean that some states don't still allow abortion. Like, you can come here to Colorado, we still have Planned Parenthood. Like, if you're on the Western Slope, the Planned Parenthood is in Glenwood Springs. You can go out there and get yourself an abortion if you want. All right, you still have the option. And because of that, right? Because women do have a part of their hypergamous nature. And one of the reasons why they want to consolidate on their best possible option isn't just for provisioning, but they want that good alpha seed, right? Like, they want a strong man who has good genetics that they could provide to their offspring so that their offspring have the best chance of survival too, right? Like, so if a woman gets impregnated by like who she perceives as an inferior man, she wants the opportunity to be able to, you know, delete that decision, right? And that's why women fight so hard for their rights to an abortion. Okay, whatever. So can you imagine in modern day society, they almost like it's her body, her choice, right? And if she cheats on a man, oh well, he was probably doing something abusive, right? There's always like, women are never held accountable. They're always like given a pass for their terrible decisions. If they cheat on a guy, oh, he was probably emotionally abusive, or he was probably physically abusive, right? They like to really throw the word abuse around, right? He's always a narcissist. So women are almost always given a pass. It's almost like hypergamy is accepted and almost like, not their fault, right? Oh, well, they're wired that way. And then we as polygamous men who we want variety, if we go out and cheat, we're still the bad guys. Like, we're always the bad guys here, right? Here's the thing too. Someone might get into the argument with me about morals and like cheating's bad and what. Okay, red pill really isn't about morals though, right? Red pill is about what is. Okay. Now, if you have your own moral code and you say cheating is bad, like there's no reason why you can't apply your own morals on top of some of these fundamental truths, right? No one's saying that you can't do that. It's just that red pill by itself isn't here to preach morals, right? We're not here to tell you what you should do. We're just here to tell you what is, and you can do with it what you want, right? So, my man, Mr. Tomasi, his take on male sexuality is it's men's biological imperative to have unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, right? That's what we're hardwired for. That's what polygamy typically is, right? And then women's sexual strategy, it's more consolidative, right? She's seeking to secure the best, not necessarily multiple mates. We have totally different motivations, right? And if you think about it, this is why high status men historically have had multiple wives, right? You think of kings, warriors, rulers, they all had harems. Think of, even if you look in the Bible, right? Let's say you want to get all biblical and be like, oh no, marriage is one man, one woman. Look at Old Testament, look at Abraham. Abraham had multiple wives, right? Especially because his first wife was barren, she was barren at first, she couldn't have kids. So the Lord said, yeah, you can, or his wife, I think, said too, you're like, why don't you sleep with our maid, right? Like, and maybe she can bear you a son, kind of thing, right? So he was able to like sort of take her as a wife too, because that's how they did it back then. They were like, okay, well, now you're my wife, and they didn't have like a whole homina domina ceremony. They didn't have to sign half their shit away. But anyway, they had a harem, right? So they had multiple wives, and that was common. That was very common. And also women were sort of traded as property and to secure resources, and alliances. And that's why like kings would marry their daughters off to princes and, to forge alliances and stuff like that. It was more, everything was arranged. You know what I mean? Like this whole dating for love thing, we haven't really been doing very long. We as a species haven't been doing it very long. Even modern high value men, and I'd say high value men with quotes, right? Because high value man is subjective. It's what if a woman perceives you as. If she just perceives you as high value to her, it's very subjective, right? But if you wanted to look at the macro, what everyone would consider a high value man, like you might think of a celebrity, someone who is very wealthy, very successful. They could get any woman they want, think of a guy like, Jeff Bezos, maybe, right? Jeff Bezos would probably be described as like a blue-pilled alpha, right? Like he's, very high status, he's one of the richest men in the world. He has a beautiful wife. He could cheat on her. She probably wouldn't care, because he's got enough money that it's not a problem for her now, right? But think of that, right? Athletes, celebrities, CEOs, they often have multiple women. Even if they are married, they usually will have a mistress or two or five. And as long as they're not embarrassing their wife about it, like it's not a big deal, right? Like their women, their wives are typically like, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. Look at the recent scandal with Vince McMahon. Like I'm a big WWE, pro wrestling fan. Look at the big scandal with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon over the years has had countless flings. He's paid a lot of hush money. That's why he's out of WWE right now, is because he's had so many illicit affairs and paid off these women to be quiet about it and stuff like that and have all these NDAs. Linda McMahon hasn't divorced him yet. You know what I mean? She hasn't divorced him yet. And he's sort of allowed to do this, and he has more opportunity because of who he is, his status as, a multi-billionaire head of WWE, right? Well, the funny thing is about men is while women are looking for their best possible option, men will even want variety with less attractive options. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger knocked up his maid, right? He knocked up his Mexican maid. Have you ever seen a picture of her? She's not a very attractive woman, right? But she was just available, right? Men don't care. Men are not as discerning. They will bang whatever's available to them sometimes, right? Even high status man like Arnold Schwarzenegger will still bang the ugly maid, right? So they will do that. I also saw a really interesting video on Instagram where this woman was talking, and she was saying how a man will cheat with an uglier woman a lot of the times, and it's not even about her looks. It's that she's just more submissive, more nurturing, more kind, not a pain in the ass, not a headache, right? She makes him feel like he's he's a good man and stuff like that. And so he's more willing to oh man, this girl builds me up and doesn't tear me down like my bitch wife or my bitch girlfriend, right? So guys will cheat, and it's not even about, physical attractiveness. It's literally almost about opportunity. You know what I mean? It's a fascinating thing, guys. Fascinating thing. Guys, join Beer Club. I'm still trying to work with Gumroad though. So if you go to beer.comeonmanpod.com, you might see that it's disabled. That's because it's got the word beer in the name, and they miscategorized it as I'm selling alcohol and tobacco products or something like that. And so I'm trying to work with them on it. And I think once I get it resolved with them, I'm probably going to change the name of Beer Club to something cooler. I gotta think of something slick though, that people are like, ooh, I want to be a part of that. Like the alpha male fucking Wolf 420 fucking, I don't know. Gotta think of a cool name for it, but I think I'm probably gonna change the name just because also it confuses people. They're like, I don't drink beer. Why would I want to join a group where I'm not drinking beer? It's like, it has nothing to do with beer. It has to do with the relaxed atmosphere of just hanging out with the boys, right? That's what it's about. But anyway, consider joining it. Even if you can't join it today, it should be resolved the next couple of weeks or the next couple of days, hopefully. But what's still available is booking a call with me. If you are in a problematic relationship right now, your wife's not sleeping with you anymore. It's been months since she's shown you any kind of affection. She's pulling away. She's causing fights with you all the time, and you just don't know how to handle it, but you want to turn that thing around. You're not willing to throw in the towel yet. Book a free call with me, okay? Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com for that. Links in my bio for that too, guys. All right. So let's talk about the conflict between male and female sexual strategies. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing that a lot of guys don't realize. But one of the things that Rollo talks about is for one gender's strategy to work, the other gender has to compromise or give up their own sexual strategy, right? And so a lot of guys, they don't even realize this, but because hypergamy is monogamy, that means that if you agree to be in a monogamous relationship with a woman, you are essentially giving up your sexual strategy. You are compromising or just completely giving it up, right? Is that a bad thing? Well, it depends on what you want in life. Okay. But I'm just going to give you some things to think about, and I don't want you to dwell on it too much. Okay. I don't want you to I want you to just give you some food for thought here. But at the end of the day, I really want you guys to operate in your own mental frame when it comes to this stuff, right? Be your own mental point of origin. You have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. Okay. And whatever you pick, like, don't feel bad for picking it. Okay. I just want to put that out there. So Rollo explains strategic pluralism, right? So attractive men benefit from pursuing multiple women, while less attractive men invest in one woman at a time. Okay, so this is why you'll see that, like, really rich guys often have side chicks, right? A lot of times you'll see a lot of like really rich guys, very attractive guys will have side chicks, right? And a lot of it's just because they can, and they're able to have multiple kids. Look at Elon Musk right now. I think he's got like 5 baby mamas right now, right? Right? Think about that. Now, if you're looking at it specifically as a way to promote the species, right? As a strictly evolutionary, we're trying to keep the species going. This is a good thing, right? Because these higher value men, these guys that have built up skills to acquire massive wealth, they have the intelligence, they have the drive, they have all the characteristics of someone who's successful, and they are putting more babies out into the gene pool, right? Which in theory will have, better, like a higher product of people out there, right? If you think about it from a genetic standpoint, right? Whole bunch of Elon Musk DNA out there of a very successful, very smart, very genius DNA out there, right? It's a good thing when it comes to evolution. And then less attractive men, they take what they can get. Someone gave me a cowboy hat here. That's funny. They take what they can get. And so, they're not going to be as prevalent in the gene pool. You see what I'm saying? So from an evolutionary standpoint, the less successful guys will have less of an opportunity to impact the gene pool later on. Okay. And so it ends up being more of a process of natural selection, you see. So you got to think of it like this. Monogamy benefits women more than men. It forces men into the female mating strategy. You're essentially compromising your natural instinct to have multiple options, and you're basically giving up all of that for one woman. Now, this, if that's what you want as a man, because it's convenient, right? It's very convenient. It's very convenient to know where your pussy's coming from at the end of the day. Right? It's very convenient. So here's the thing about that. This is one of the reasons why when I tell guys, it's not your job to push for a relationship. It's not your job, because if it's her natural instinct to want to consolidate on one guy and lock him down as a husband and make him monogamous, that benefits her. And if it's not in your natural wiring for that, if you are the one pushing for that, her hindbrain is going to look at that as unnatural. It's unattractive. I don't understand why. That's why women start going, man, this guy seems needy. This guy seems overly attached. This guy, and that gives them the ick. It drives them away. When you're the one pushing for the relationship, it goes against your sexual strategy, right? It's like a bird, a wild bird naturally wanting to fly into a cage. A woman just like in her hindbrain is not going to want that. That's why I say it's not your job to push for that relationship. Now, I have people argue with me, well, men traditionally are the ones that ask for hands in marriage, and they're the traditionally like forget that, right? That's not natural. that's not natural. That's society trying to control women's open hypergamy and trying to make marriage a thing. It's more about controlling the population than anything, right? It's more about population control. But if that's what you want, that's like, I'm telling you, like, don't look at it like it's a bad thing. Okay. But you have to work with nature, human nature. And so if you want her to stay attracted to you and you want her to think of you as her best possible option, you have to be the guy that she locks down. That's why you don't bring up relationships. If you want to get married, you don't bring up marriage. Okay. Now you might be the one that does the whole thing where you give her the diamond ring and you ask her, but you wait. You absolutely wait until she's the one hinting at it. And that's how women will ask you. Okay. Even when it comes to a exclusive relationship, like you wait for her to bring it up, and women aren't direct. Women typically aren't direct. They're very roundabout. They like to hint at things. And so you just wait for her to hint at things. Right. And that's how she's asking you. And so when it comes to an exclusive long-term relationship, I'm not talking about marriage. Like what she'll say is like, so where's all this going? Like we've been dating for a few weeks now. I really just don't like the idea of you seeing other women, right? Like that's her way of saying, I want to be exclusive. Okay. So you can't just immediately go, okay, well, let's be exclusive then. Right. Because then you're over eager. It goes against her nature, or it goes against your nature. Okay. It goes against your perceived nature. So you have to be like, well, what do you mean by that? Are you saying I got to throw out my black book? Like, what do you mean? You've got to be the guy that she has to like lock down. And once she locks you, like once she feels like she's been the one that's locked you down, like reluctantly locked you down, she's going to feel more invested. Like, oh, I finally got him. I got my prize. Right. That's a part of having her feel like you're her best hypergamous option. All right. So also a part of marriage, right? A part of marriage and why we even try to do this forced monogamy thing is it's a way for society to curb men's natural polygamous drive, right? If it was like acceptable for men to like go out and impregnate as many women as possible, like we wouldn't have child support laws. All that kind of stuff is there to dissuade you from overpopulating. That's really what it is. It's just it's to try to curb your polygamous drive down, and it's sort of a way to like sort of enforce women's natural sexual strategy on everybody, right? They use shaming tactics against men who embrace their polygamous nature. They call us cheaters. They call us players. Like they shame guys like Elon Musk for having multiple baby mamas, like all that kind of stuff, right? And the thing is that a lot of modern relationships end up failing because we're expected to be monogamous. We're expected to not exercise our polygamous nature, but hypergamy is open, right? If a woman just feels like she's no longer happy in her marriage, she can end it, and not only end it, but be rewarded for it, right? Because a vast majority of women don't make as much money as their husbands. There's a reason for that. It's because they're not looking for their same level. They're looking for a guy who's better than them in some way. Oftentimes it's monetary. So they don't want to. You'll never see a boss bitch lawyer dating a barista, right? But a CEO would totally date a barista. He totally would if she's hot, right? So the thing is that women are rewarded for it. So women are almost allowed and expected to be hypergamous. Like if this guy's not providing value in the marriage, like here, we'll give you a whole bunch of cash and prizes so you can go find a better hypergamous option for you, right? It's almost like they're rewarded for it. And here's a funny thing. Even the strong, independent boss bitch women, they still want a high value man. That's why you'll never see, a highfalutin female attorney dating a Starbucks guy, seriously anyway. It's because they still want a guy who's better. Like if she's an attorney, she wants to date the head of the firm. You know what I mean? She wants someone that's better than them in some way. And because a guy who's like a rich attorney who has lots of options with all the chicks in the office, like he's probably banging his secretary. He's married, but he's banging the secretary and like all that kind of stuff. Like women are almost okay with it. They're almost okay with it as long as he makes tons of money, treats them right, and he's got a high enough status that when they're in public, like she feels like she's got higher status too. You know, it's kind of a funny thing. Pook has a really famous quote about this. I did a whole series on the book of Pook. If you guys want to go to my YouTube channel and check that whole series out, but I did a whole series on the book of Pook. But this guy Pook had some really profound writing. And one of the things that he said was women would rather share an alpha than be saddled with a faithful beta, right? That's true. She would much rather be a side chick to a multimillionaire than be saddled with a beta guy that only makes $40,000 a year, right? That's just women's nature. That's their nature. So let me ask you this. If you understand this dynamic, or let me preface the rest of this. If you understand this dynamic, you could actually play the game instead of getting played. Okay. You could use this to your advantage. That's why I say, look at all of this as you got to do what's best for you. Okay. Now there's guys in the space who, they want to exercise their polygamous nature. I have a friend. He's been on the podcast a bunch of times. We used to do a panel show called The Mantastic Four. His name is Chuck Kohout, or he goes by Chuck Daddy on TikTok. Chuck, he's one of those guys that he likes to have a polymono relationship, is what he calls it, which means it's closed on his wife's end, but he's allowed to have side chicks and bang side chicks. And I don't understand why he does this, but whatever, to each their own. I think he's been married 2 or 3 times now. And each time he's very upfront and clear with his main pieces. Like, hey, I have these sexual needs and I exercise them, but you are not allowed to. And if you're going to be with me, if you're going to be married to me, then these are the terms. I have to be allowed to go have side chicks and not have any questions asked. Okay. But you're mine, you're my girl. Right. And every single one of them has been okay with it at first because he's a millionaire. He's a millionaire, real estate mogul in New Jersey. So they've all been okay with it at first until he gets them pregnant. And then as soon as they get pregnant, everything changes. They're like, I don't like this anymore. I don't like you stepping out. And now it's a big deal. And so his latest wife, who, her name is Deanna. She was on his TikToks and stuff like this is all public stuff. Like she ended up divorcing him, right? Like they had her kid. And so now he's going through the ringer again. I'm like, why the fuck do you keep doing this to yourself, man? Why do you keep doing this to yourself? To me, if you want to exercise polygamy, like just don't get married, right? Don't get married. It's like just casually spin plates. And I know guys like that too. There's a guy, Rob Says. I would say Rob Says is a guy like this. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's got a pretty interesting YouTube channel. He's been on the show a couple times. I've been on his show a few times. He does a Saturday evening show with Jack Napier called Red Evening. And, he was married and he grew up in the Mormon faith, I think. And so, he was very religious, but it wasn't for him. And he was miserable in this monogamous marriage. And he was one of the guys that I think he pulled the trigger on that divorce. I might be wrong, but anyway, he ended up getting divorced, and then he ended up getting in a relationship after that. And I think it was that second relationship that really red pilled him. And he's very well educated in what I call the real red pill, right? He's read all the books, he's studied all the material, he's done all the work. He's done No More Mr. Nice Guy and done all the exercises. Like he's a guy who's gone through it and come out the other side and realized that what's best for him is to not get married. He has a steady, I would say, main chick, and but he still goes out and dates, and it's very casual, and he doesn't care if his main chick goes out and dates. It's a very open relationship, and he's just like, whatever, like, this is what is best for me. Okay. He exercises his polygamous nature, but, and then his main chick always comes back to him because she's her best hypergamous option. It's a funny thing, but he's like, yeah, go out and see if you can find someone better. And she can't. And so she keeps coming back. It's fascinating. Anyway. So why men must develop an abundance mindset. Okay. So let's say you do want to have a monogamous relationship. One of the biggest mistakes men make is they have a scarcity mindset, and they develop this scarcity mindset when they're dating. You know, they one girl's nice to them, like they've been striking out left and right. So one girl's nice to them, they go all in on that one girl. They get sniper mentality. They immediately fall in love with this chick, and they're like, right. And then when she ghosts them after 3 dates because they're too fucking needy, they're like, oh, I don't even know why. Oh, I'm so heartbroken. And it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Spin plates. All right. Even if your goal at the end of the day is to end up in a monogamous relationship, because even though it goes against our nature, it's been societally sort of pushed on us over the last, few hundred years that monogamy is a good thing. It's religious. It's whatever. So it's like a lot of guys, even though, we're naturally polygamous, and we still want that variety at the end of the day, we're still sort of side-eyeing all the hot asses that we see when we're walking around. We still are like, yeah, having a steady source of pussy is nice, right? Okay. So if that's what you want, you still have to have that abundance mindset. And the best way to do that is to spin plates, which means when you're out in the dating circuit, don't just go with the first girl that's nice to you. Like, if a girl's nice to you, awesome. Keep sourcing new women, right? Keep sourcing new women, keep playing the field, only see these girls like once a week, if you want to fill up your time and go on multiple dates that week, then it behooves you to find new women, right? Like, don't try to get one girl to occupy all your time. You're going to come across as needy. It's going to go against your nature, your perceived nature. It's not going to feel natural to her, right? So you want to get her interested in chasing you, and you want to experience multiple women, okay? That's the best way to develop that abundance mindset. And then when you do eventually get into that relationship, you know that if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Cause it's really, once you get good at being with multiple women, you're like, oh, there's always another woman. And it keeps you from being needy. It keeps you from being weak. It keeps you from caring if she walks away or not, right? Because what happens is, like, guys get this scarcity mindset when they're in a relationship, and they're like, if I lose her, she's my world. Oh, everything's ending. And so then they end up being weak, needy, insecure, and it's all unattractive behavior that will push her away eventually anyway. But if you have an abundance mindset where you're like, I don't care if she leaves because I'll be fine, I'll always find another woman, like, you have all the power in the relationship. Like, the cardinal rule of relationships is whoever needs the other person the least has all the power in the relationship. You want to be that guy. And the way you get there is with an abundance mindset where you're like, okay, if it's not working out, I'm going to find another girl. Like, it's no big deal. Right. But so many guys get hung up. They get that one-itis of that one girl that they can't develop that mindset. And they develop this sense of scarcity that if I lose her, oh, I'll never find a girl like her. She's 1 in a million. If she's 1 in a million, mathematically, because there's 4 billion women on the planet, that means there's 4,000 women just like her out there. You'll be fine. Okay. So you have to develop that abundance mindset. And here's the thing. Women don't love men equally. It's always based on hypergamy. Always. Right? That's why you hear this, like, men love women typically for who they are, right? But women love men typically for what they can provide. Whether that's like how they feel, whether that's provisioning, whatever. It's what a man can provide for her. That's how women typically love. It's very, what's in it for me? It's very, what's in it for me? Right. And if you're not providing that value, if you're not providing any kind of value to her, she's going to want to leave. It's Breitfeld's law. And that's why relationships are her job to maintain. And it's your job as the man to be a guy that she wants to be with, right? That's how that works together. So how high status men retain their women despite their polygamous nature? Well, they're providing a lot, right? Like these high status men, especially guys like, Bezos and Trump and Elon Musk, like they monetarily take care of these women. And these women are like, yeah, I could go bang the Starbucks guy, but he's not going to be able to buy my Ferrari for me. You know what I mean? So that, like, a lot of that is money. And so they'll stick around because these guys are still providing, something along those lines. Why playing by the rules doesn't work? Because the rules are against you. Oh yeah. So that's why, when I have this here in my notes, why playing by the rules doesn't work. When I say playing by the rules, it means just like what I was talking about earlier. There's guys that'll argue with me. They'll say, well, traditionally it's men that ask women to marry them. So therefore it's a guy's job to push for a relationship. Like, you'll understand if you're the guy that's constantly pushing for a relationship, you're the one that's wearing them down. Like I was telling this story on Rule Zero Saturday, but if you ever read Grant Cardone's books, like Grant Cardone has this story of how he met his wife and how he basically hounded her for an entire year to go out with him. And like, she finally gave in, right? She finally gave in. Like, that's what's more attractive, a guy that has to hound a girl for an entire year until she finally says, fuck it, I'll go out with you, just leave me alone. Or a guy who is a mystery, who doesn't want to be locked down, and it forces her to want to lock you down. Who do you think out of those two women is going to put the most investment into that relationship? Like, think about that for a minute. Right? A woman that has to like do the work to get you to lock down is going to feel more invested in you than a woman that you had to lock down. Right? So don't play by the rules, right? I would say don't play by societal's rules, the old blue pill programming rules, the old Prince Charming type rules, the Disney princess rules. They don't work. All right. If you play by our evolutionary psychology, you're going to play to win. Why monogamy is a choice men should make from an abundance, not scarcity. So yeah, so a lot of guys will rush into a monogamous relationship because they hate the dating process, because they suck with women typically, right? So they're constantly getting shot down. They're constantly getting rejected. It's a grind. They hate the dating circuit. Oh, they start complaining about how dating apps don't work and women are always going for the top 20% of guys on dating apps, right? All this kind of stuff. So when they finally meet a girl that's nice to them and touches their pee-pee, they go all in to escape that constant, rejection, to escape the dating market. And they're like, all right, fine. I finally found someone that's somewhat nice to me. I don't have to do that anymore. Right. And so they're trying to push for relationships. Right. And you'll find that these types of guys often get shot down. These girls don't want to stick around for more than 3 dates because they're always trying to lock down every girl that's somewhat nice to them in the beginning. Right. If that's you, and every time you go out on a date, you can't keep a girl around more than 2 or 3 dates before she ghosts you, or she ghosts you after the first date, it's because you're that guy. You're the guy that's trying to push for this relationship. You don't have that abundance mindset. You have a scarcity mindset. You're thinking, oh God, if I don't lock this girl down, I'll lose her forever. Right? Instead of going, if she doesn't lock me down, fuck it, some other girl will. Right? That's an abundance mindset where you're like, there's always another woman. Okay. So make sure that you're doing it from a mindset of abundance, right? That, hey, if this doesn't work out, it'll be fine. There's always another woman. In fact, it'll be awesome. I love dating. Get to a point where you actually enjoy the dating process, right? Enjoy talking to new women. Enjoy being the guy that's the decider. Enjoy being the guy going, do I like her or not? Right? Make her qualify to you, that kind of thing. If you change your mindset about all this stuff and you become the guy that women have to lock down, you'll find that the cream will rise to the top faster. You'll find women that do want to put that investment in you, and you'll find women that are much more pleasant to be around, right? That's how you win. That's how you win this game. That's how you use hypergamy to your advantage. So let's end with this thought. You guys got to understand that women's loyalty is conditional. but a man's value is his his abundance, right? The game is rigged against those who don't know the rules. So I'm talking about the real rules, right? Not societal's blue-pilled rules. I'm talking about red pill rules, right? Learn the rules of the game and play to win. All right. All right. Did we ever get... No, I still can't see anything in there. Man, I don't know if you guys are quiet in there or what, but I can't see anything. If you guys send a super chat, maybe that would be good. But anyway, guys, tune into the podcast on Wednesday. We're going over chapter 9 in my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again, available on Amazon and on Audible. In chapter 9 is all about long-term vision and leadership. Okay. So for you guys who are married or you're in long-term relationships, let me ask you this. Do you have a vision for your relationship? Do you have a vision, or are you just sort of like going with the flow? Okay. Do you let your girl handle all the plans? Do you let her sort of dictate where your relationship's going? Let me ask that. Because it's your job to lead your relationship in the direction you want it to go. All right. That's your job. All right. Oh, TikTok says, are you really here? Yes, I'm here, TikTok. There you go. Anyway, it's your job to lead your relationship in the direction you want it to go, right? So stop being passive. And I put this out on TikTok or Twitter yesterday. Passive starts with the letter P. You know what else starts with the letter P? Pussy. Don't be a pussy. Don't be a pussy, guys. All right. Yeah, I don't see any super chats, so we'll just go ahead and wrap it up here. Guys, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. I'm assuming you guys were sounding off in the chat. It's weird. I don't know if it's a StreamYard setting or what, but anyways, if you guys haven't been, start sounding off in the chat, would you? And if you guys are watching the replay, drop a comment below, okay? Any comment will do. I don't see any super chats, but consider sending super chats next time, guys. That does help support the show, probably more than anything else, especially if you're finding value from some of these episodes. Get on follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list. Get the ebook, She's Made You Weak. It's free. Just go to list.comeonmanpod.com. You can find my books on Amazon and Audible. Go to books.comeonmanpod.com for that. Join Beer Club as soon as that becomes available again. And then, guys, if you want to work with me one-on-one, book a free call by going to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's all we got. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.